Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Asha. Thank you so much for joining me today. I want to talk about habits a little bit and about goals. What if your future was based upon the habits that you practiced day in and day out rather than the goals that you set for yourself? This is why a lot of times it becomes a little bit more difficult to stick to our goals because we are habitual creatures as human beings, and our body actually learns habits quicker than our mind. This is why working on our mind and our emotional well-being becomes very important with our consistency. Our body has built in this autonomic kind of system that once we repeat something over and over and over again, it just takes over and it does it. Our mind does too, to a certain degree, but we have more flexibility and more influence that we can incorporate into our mind, which is going to in turn really impact our physical body. I mean, just think about it. For example, when you are sitting up straight on a day-to-day basis, what happens to your posture? What happens to the muscles? What happens to your spine? What happens to the nervous system? It's going to make better posture for you if you are practicing that every single day for your tomorrow. And it's consistency in doing it. You know, these normal patterns get weaved into our lives, and we don't even realize that these habits that we're doing may be impacting and blocking us from reaching our goals. For example, if you are a business owner, if you don't sit down on a weekly basis, maybe even daily basis, depending on what your business is, but a weekly basis, and actually budget your balance and budget your books, what's going to happen at the end of that month? You're not going to know where your costs are. You're not going to know where your expenses are. You're not going to know any of those things. You're not going to know what you actually are bringing in. You know, there's so many different things about it. If you consistently develop these habits, you're going to have a healthier business in that example. This is what we do. And this is why most of the time, you know, at the beginning of the year, beginning of the month, whenever you set your goals, a lot of times we don't realize that the habits that we are building, the habits that we do, the way that we are acting. You know, I know a long time ago, a mentor of mine told me, if you want something, if you want to achieve something, you have to create the habits that that version of you would already be doing. So, for example, say you want to be a marathon runner. You could, if you wanted to, try the morning of the marathon to go run that marathon and think that you're going to do well, okay? Or you start your habits today and you start to prepare every single day, little by little, building slowly. It's like building blocks, building Lego. You build from the bottom towards the top. You build these repetitive systems and ways of living. And this is what helps you reach your goals. Now, I know a lot of times we want the easy way as human beings. I think it's kind of a natural default in a way, but there is something so fulfilling and joyful about working towards changing your habits and creating better habits, creating habits that are more in alignment with what you're wanting. Some of the ways that you can start to notice that you're not necessarily listening to this, you're not necessarily that you are basically working on autopilot. There have been a few things. This is something that I notice a lot. When things get uncomfortable, or people, and you probably have seen this too, when people are sitting at the airport or waiting on a train or sitting in traffic, they're constantly picking up their phone and looking at it and getting distracted. That is a way to keep you distracted. When things get uncomfortable, that is a habit, repeatedly looking at your phone. It is something that is a subconscious distraction. You don't want to hear the silence. Maybe you don't want to hear your thoughts. Maybe you don't want to interact with the people around you. This is something that has perpetually become worse in our society more and more. Now, sometimes, of course, you reach for your phone to listen to videos and podcasts like this one, for example. I mean, there are different ways of utilizing it, but that's making a more conscious decision of how you're utilizing your phone, for example. Another way is staying tense, even when nothing urgent is happening. Have you ever seen those people that sit on the edge of their seats constantly, or they're constantly, you kind of feel their energy. You feel like they're just ready to take off and run at a moment's notice. That is also a way that you can tell that your body has really gotten used to habits and that you're not consciously present in the present moment, taking it into your own conscious mind, your own presence, and realizing, what can I be doing differently? What decisions could I be doing? How can I change my habits? How can I learn to sit back and relax in my chair, for example? Or how can I learn to just sit here and just do nothing, not reach for the phone, but just do nothing? Noticing that in your body is going to help you tremendously. Also, getting enough rest is a big thing. I want to just address that here because I feel that when we are sleep deprived, when we're not getting enough rest, when we're not getting enough downtime, we will start getting into bad habits, what we consider bad habits. And bad habits are those that are just not aligned with where we're wanting to go, what we're wanting to achieve. As we set goals for ourselves, we have to ask ourselves, okay, what would that person, that version of myself, what would they be doing differently than I'm doing today that's going to help them? Once you change your patterns, you change your future. I mean, this is with everything. And you just have to start small. I want to encourage you to not take big leaps and bounds because it is very difficult for our mind to keep up, to be consistent with that. And that's a really important aspect when we're talking about achieving our goals in life and looking at our habits. So I would love to hear from you. What habits are you doing right now, maybe subconsciously, maybe that you haven't even realized, that are not contributing and that are not in alignment with the version of yourself that you want to see or that you want to be? What are you doing right now? What are some small things that you can do right now, today, in changing your habits to help change your goals and change your future? I would love to hear from you. Drop a comment. Be sure to share this video with anybody that may be needing to hear this, that needs some support in changing their habits. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much. Be sure to subscribe to our channel, and I look forward to catching you next time.